Some say Chinese is one of the most difficult languages in the world, and learning it is almost impossible.
So learning Chinese, the most difficult thing.
非常非常非常非常非常难.
So I'm sort of tone deaf. I can't really hear them.
I think the cultural mindset is the biggest complication for
The grammar.
知吃思诗都很难
It's just complicated so much.
Only because you're not learning it in the right way. Why not try Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
你好，欢迎收听随行汉语 Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin. Join me today, the handsome and hilarious Carl Benjaminson. Hi, Carl.
Hello.
So, have you visited the doctor here in China?
I have only twice visited the doctor in China, and it was a pretty straightforward process, I have to say.
Did you go to a doctor that know how to speak English, or did you use some Chinese?
A bit of both. So a lot of the doctors in China do speak some English because they're trained in, international medical research. So they've got some English language ability.
Yes.
But the most difficult thing where you need to know a little bit of Chinese is getting from the front door of the hospital to sitting in front of the doctor. You've got to check in and get a ticket and get an ID card and all that sort of stuff. So you need a bit of Chinese just to get through that process.
I'm very glad you said that because today we are going to talk about that process and give you enough Chinese words, expressions to go, cover that area. For our dear listeners, if you're interested in Chinese culture and you want to get a grips with the Chinese language, then this is the show for you. Stick with us for 30 minutes a day and you soon see the rewards. And for more fun Chinese learning, follow our Facebook page, CRI Learn Chinese, to watch many fun videos and live streams. But now, let's provide you with some free Chinese for takeaway. 你好，我想看医生。请问您需要挂哪个科室？我也不太清楚。那您哪里不舒服？我胃疼。那您最好挂消化科吧。
So that's a little bit more complicated maybe than what people are used to if you're just starting out and learning Chinese. But it's a pretty straightforward dialogue about getting some help. So going through that first step of actually putting yourself in front of a doctor.
And that is actually also very useful because this process is like someone asking you which kind of doctor do you want to see and what kind of symptoms do you have. So if you don't even know what kind of doctors you want, let's say between emergency people and nurse sitting in the front desk will help you find that information. So for the first sentence, 你好，我想看医生。
Hello, I would like to see a doctor. So, 你好, see hello. 我想看医生. So, this is a little bit polite. So, I wish to see a doctor. I'm guessing you could also say 我要看医生.
You can totally say that. So, 要.
So, I need to see a doctor.
Or I want to see a doctor.
Yeah.
And 想 is, in Chinese, you can use it in thinking or missing. It's a softer tone. And it's, like Carl said, a little bit more polite. And then part B, probably a nurse, said, 请问您需要挂哪个科室?
Which department do you want to register with?
Here, I think the key word actually is missed or separated because 挂号 is a set term in Chinese. 挂号.
挂号.
So 挂号 actually means to register, but it's even a jargon in hospitals because in hospitals, in order to see the doctor, I know in a lot of different places you have different procedures. In China, the procedure is you don't necessarily have to make an appointment in advance, let's say 3 months in advance. You just go to the hospital and get a number. And that is why you have the character 号 in it. 号 means number. 挂号 here actually means get your number.
Like literally grab a number.
Grab a number, yes. 挂号. So when you get the number, you know which place you're standing in the line. Let's say if you're 5, if the doctor finished seeing all the 4 patients in front of you, it's your turn. So I think it's pretty easy, and for most hospitals, they only issue certain number of numbers. Wow, that is strange. So 他们有限量的号码，限量 means limited, so limited number of numbers. So as long as you got a number, 你只要挂了号, you are guaranteed to be seen by the doctor.
So this is why sometimes, if you're really sick and it's an emergency, obviously just go to the hospital whenever you need to. But for some things, particularly if you're in a big city like Beijing, it's good to go to a hospital early, like 7 a.m. and sort of line
Or
up.
even 6 or 5.
Depending on how busy it is. But it can be worth it because you get to see some of the best doctors in the country, and it's really, really cheap to go to a doctor in China.
Yes, and you don't really need to wait for 3 months to
get a referral to somebody else. You just go there and you get to see someone.
Exactly. So 挂号 is very important. If you want to see a Chinese doctor in China, you need to know 挂号. And here, the word 挂号 has been separated to 挂, a certain kind of department. And department here is 科室. So part B asked, 请问 please, may I ask, 您需要 you need to 挂哪个科室?
So 科室, so that means like department, but when you're starting to learn Chinese, you learn the word 部门, like department in an office. Could you use 部门 in this sentence?
You most certainly not. You can't. You cannot do that because 科室 is again, it's almost a jargon in hospitals because we are going to encounter, for example, 内科. 内科 would be the kind of department that treats you with medicine instead of knife. So you are going to see physicians in 内科. And 外科, so 内 is inside or inwards. 外 would be outwards. 外科 meaning you're going to see a lot of surgeons.
Yeah.
So, and also we have, let's say, 急诊室, emergency room. You can find the character 科 and 室 at the end of all these words. So 科室 actually summarize all these different specific departments in hospitals.
So it is a bit of jargon so that you can't swap out with something else.
Exactly. If you go into a hospital and ask 我可以挂哪个部门, I'm not really sure they're going to understand you.
That is handy to know.
That is a problem. So please do remember the word 科室. 科室. That's the jargon. Yes, 科室. That's the jargon you need to know here or in a hospital. So, 请问您需要挂哪个科室? 挂 is the verb here. 哪个 which 科室 hospital department. 我也不太清楚.
I don't really know for sure. Well, I'm not really clear.
Yeah, this will happen because it can be a little bit confusing when it comes to which department is responsible for what kind of symptoms, especially if those symptoms are, let's say you've got a stomachache. But if it's a stomachache, it's easy, you know it's stomach. But if it's just an ache in your abdomen, you don't really know which department should you go.
Yeah, so looking at this sentence, so 我, I, 也不太清楚, so I'm not really clear.
I'm not really clear.
Can I ask, what does the 也 do in this sentence?
也 is also interesting because if you translate it, you would translate it to also or to. But here, it actually softened the tone. So it's kind of like saying, well, I kind of not know for sure. If I ask you to translate kinda into Chinese, the best translation would be 也 here because there's no translation. You just want to soften the tone saying, well, I cannot really say for sure. I kind of not know myself as well.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, if someone asks you, do you know? You say, 我不知道. It means I don't know. But if you want to soften the tone, you say, 我也不知道 or 我也不太知道. I don't really know myself. So, 那您哪里不舒服?
So what's troubling you or what's the matter?
那 is kind of like a way to continue the conversation. So if you say 您哪里不舒服, it feels like a start of a new conversation. But if you throw in 那, it's kind of like saying then Then let me ask you the question of what's troubling you. So then what's troubling you? And troubling you is the verb version of the sentence. Actually, here it's more like where feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, so 哪里 is where, and 不舒服 is like where is it not comfortable.
Yes. So 那年哪里不舒服? Part A said 我胃疼.
I have a stomachache.
Here you can also say 我胃痛. In the previous episode, we actually covered 疼 and 痛. Both 疼 and 痛 mean hurt or painful, and they're basically the same thing.
And could you say 我肚子疼?
Yes, you can totally say that. 我肚子疼.
Because that's another one. If you are studying based on HSK, you probably won't come across 胃 until a little bit later, but 肚子 is something you're probably more likely to hear.
Yeah, and 肚子疼 actually is also more useful because you don't really know which part is hurting you.
It's just like
There.
my gut somewhere here is
Yeah,
it's
somewhere
不舒服.
Or you can just go to the doctor and say, 疼 and touch the parts. That helps too. So, 我胃疼. 那您最好挂消化科吧.
I suggest that you go to the digestive systems department.
Yes, so 消化科 is another hospital department. I keep on saying hospital department because you guys need to know 科室 is used in hospitals more often, or let's say in hospitals you need to use 科室. So 消化科is the digestive system department, and 消化 here actually is digest. 消化科 and 最好 is we've seen this word before. 最好 means best.
Best or most suitable.
Most suitable. But you can also translate it as you'd better. You'd better. But you'd better also has two kind of directions of meaning or feelings it contains. One means you'd better go there so things don't go wrong. But you can also understand it as you'd better do this or I will kick your ass. So I will in Chinese.
Hopefully you go to a really nice hospital where they don't put that second meaning.
Of course, but I'm just saying this word can be used that way. And in Chinese we say 给你点颜色瞧瞧. So I'll teach you a lesson. I will make you look bad. I will show you some color. 给你点颜色瞧瞧. So 最好 in Chinese is the same thing.
So if you've been maybe eating too many sweets and you've got a sore stomach because of that, maybe the doctor will use that meaning as a way of chastising you.
So 最好, as in English, you'd better. You can be you'd better in a very nice and polite sentence, and you can use you'd better in a little bit threatening kind of sentence. You'd better 最好. So 那您最好挂消化科吧. Do you have any questions? Any more questions? Besides making fun of the word 最好?
No, I just love that something that means like literally the best or literally the happiest can also be slightly threatening in Chinese.
In English as well, you'd better. Well, but you'd better, you have better in it. Still, slightly.
There's actually a great word that I learned today while looking, at examples of words for this episode, which is 痛快, which is like 痛 as in pain and 快 as in quick. So you think, oh no, I suddenly feel sick. But 痛快 actually means happy and joyful.
痛快的快是快乐的快.
Yes.
So 快 is not painful and quick. It's literally painful and happy.
Yes, which again is an interesting Chinese cultural way perhaps of looking at something that's very happy.
Well, we use 痛快 to describe the kind of happy that is very strong. That is, you gain after...
Like you're hit in the face with happiness.
It's like, let's say you've run for 10 kilometers.
Yep.
You must feel pain in your body, but the running makes you also feel very exciting and very happy. And that's the kind of happiness we use 痛快 to describe.
I've never run in my life, so I'll just take your word for it.
So, shall we try the conversation? Do you want to be the patient or the nurse?
I will be the patient.
Okay.
你好，我想看医生。
请问您需要挂哪个科室？
我也不太清楚。
那您哪里不舒服？
我胃疼。
那您最好挂消化科吧。You are listening to Takeaway Chinese with myself, Niu Honglin, and Carl. We would love to hear from you. Send us your thoughts by email to learnchinese@cri.com.cn. Coming up next, let's talk about all the different kind of medical-related new technology in China and some fun Chinese idioms that is also related to sickness. Don't go away, so you will take some Chinese away. Welcome back to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin, joined by Carl. Excuse me. So Carl, you haven't been here for so long. I need to remind myself of who you are now.
I'm not the handsome one, which is Tony, or the blonde one, which is Jessica. I'm the other one.
You're the smart and hilarious one, which is some best traits I like to pick for myself. All right, so we actually, when it comes to going to doctors, a lot of our friends also asked how to say, how are you, or are you all right? And we had a short video talking about that. That would be 你还好吗? And there are so many different kind of response to that. And we covered some in the previous episode, but I think we should go on to talk a little bit about them in this one. Also telling you guys the importance of keep yourself healthy and to avoid the doctors.
Yes.
So sometimes people say 我没事儿, that'll be I am fine. But sometimes people say 我最近太忙了.
So I've recently been very busy.
Yes, and being very busy, or 我昨晚没睡好.
我昨晚没睡好. So I didn't sleep well last night.
These are some factors that will lead to state called 亚健康. Do you know what 亚健康 is?
No, what is 亚健康?
亚, for example, 亚, you know, 冠军 is champion. 亚军 is second place. So 亚军, second place. And 亚健康 is like you're not super healthy. You're just not healthy enough.
So, I mean, yeah.
You're not sick, but you're not healthy.
Not as good as I could be.
Yes, 亚健康. So 亚健康 has been a thing for a lot of modern people nowadays. You are busy working, 工作很忙. You suffer from amnesia, 睡眠不好, 失眠, like lack of sleep. And also, you sometimes feel 心情不好, bad mood.
Say that one again.
心情不好.
心情不好.
Yes, so 工作太忙.
So work is very busy.
工作太忙 and 睡眠不好. 睡眠不好, sleep not sleeping well.
Not sleeping well.
睡眠不好 and 心情不好.
Remember,
心情不好 is not happy.
Not happy, yeah.
And sometimes you also feel the stress, 压力大.
压力大.
Yes, these are some factors that will lead you to 亚健康状态.
So 压力大 is like a big pressure or a
pressure.
big weight.
Yes, 压力大. And it leads to 亚健康, so not as healthy. And it's totally a thing. And I'm trying to share these words because I hope you guys can avoid these kind of, you know, situations.
So there is a Chinese saying which is 气若游丝.
Yes, it's a Chinese idiom.
So it directly translated as something like it's air as if swimming like a thread. Like, what does that mean?
Okay, so 气若游丝, it's a Chinese idiom. 气 is the breath you're taking. 气 literally would be translated as air. But here it's talking about the 气 your inhale and exhale. So 气 呼吸的空气. 若 is like, but it's the ancient time version of like.
Like as if.
As if. 若游丝 is like a thread that is floating in the air. It's not even a thread that is lying on the table. Solidly and steadily. It's the kind of thread that is hanging in the air, floating everywhere, very unstable and very much not solid.
So this is basically, OMG, I'm dying. Would you literally use this for someone who is in a hospital dying, or can you be like, I've just had a long day at work, 气若游丝?
气若游丝 usually is used to describe someone who's very sick.
So it's a very literal, very sick, not a I've had a bad day kind of sick.
Actually, you can say it's a I have had a bad day, now I feel 气若游丝, but it's a little bit overly dramatic. And
yeah, so but that's sometimes useful if you're being dramatic.
yeah, and it's not very quite common nowadays. But if you use it, it can totally impress a lot of people. So 气若游丝. Since we're talking about 气若游丝, let me throw in one. 行销鼓励.
行销鼓励. What does that mean?
形 is 形态 or 形状, so it's your shape. 销 means thin, and 骨 is your bone, and 力 is kind of also thin. So it's saying this person is very, very thin, but not because he or she has been working out crazy and got a good body shape, but it's too thin, too much like a skeleton.
So you like
unhealthy.
Yeah, so someone's frail, you might.
Frail. Yeah, I like that word. 行销鼓励. So if someone is 气若游丝, 行销鼓励, then we might probably say he does not have so many days left.
Okay.
Yeah. And 气若游丝, 行销鼓励. Then there's another one. This is a little bit better, but it's still quite sad. 面黄肌瘦.
面黄肌瘦. So someone's yellow. I've got the word 黄 in there somewhere.
Yes.
So someone's a bit yellowish and 肌瘦, like thin. But not healthy thin, as in a bit unwell thin.
Yes, because 面 is face. 肌 actually stands for your muscle. So 面黄 is your face looks yellowish, and 肌, your muscle, is very, very thin. You don't have a lot of muscle left. So this also shows that this person's 气色不好. So he looks not very well, and also he's thin to a point that he looks sick.
Right, so we're hoping these are words that you'll never have to use.
They are very pictographic, I'd like to say.
Yes.
You can totally imagine someone who's very thin, whose face looks pale and even yellowish in a way, and he's taking very slow and light breaths. Let me share one last sad idiom in Chinese. 百病丛生.
百病
丛生.
丛生. What does that
So
mean?
百 is 100. 病 is sickness or disease.
Yep.
丛生, 丛 is gather in a crowd. 生 is generate. So hundreds kind of sickness or disease happen like in groups in a person. So if this person has so many different diseases happen to him, then he's probably not very healthy.
That's grim. I think of all the phrases that we've talked about so far today, that's possibly the darkest.
Yeah, 百病丛生, not very healthy. And that is why there is a very common and very positive Chinese saying, 身体是革命的本钱. I'd like to share with you guys. 身体是革命的本钱.
What does that mean?
It means if you want to have a career in the future, if you want to make something out of yourself, you need to first make sure you have a healthy body. That is the foundation of everything in the future.
No.
身体是革命的本钱. And since we promised, actually nowadays in China, there are all different kinds of technology. Get the registration part done in their cell phone online. And also, many companies have been developing different technologies to diagnose patients.